The 1920s in America were the age of jazz, prohibition, and watches that glowed in the dark. The US Radium Corporation in New Jersey produced one of the decade's hottest products: luminous watch dials that glowed at night. They were highly sought after by the military, and pilots couldn't do without them. Fashionable women wore glowing brooches. The secret lay in the radium paint, a mixture of radium-226 and phosphorescent materials. Hundreds of young women, mostly between 14 and 20 years old, worked in the factories, applying the paint with ultrafine brushes to tiny watch faces. The job was considered prestigious. It was clean, indoors, and well paid. The women were even called ghost girls because by the end of their shifts, they literally glowed in the dark. But here was the catch. To paint the delicate lines on the small dials, management taught the workers a special technique: lip, dip, paint. They were instructed to moisten the tips of their brushes with their lips before each stroke, dozens of times every minute, hundreds of times per shift. The company assured them that radium was completely harmless, even healthy. At that time, radium was added to toothpaste, cosmetics, and even chocolate. Radioactive water was marketed as a fountain of youth. There was a true radium craze, and no one suspected that behind the fashionable element lurked a deadly enemy. The first symptoms didn't appear right away. At first it was only fatigue, then toothaches. The young women went to the dentist who pulled their teeth, but the wounds wouldn't heal. Worse still, their jawbones began to glow and then disintegrate. In some cases, their jaws literally fell apart. Do you know what radium-226 is? It's a radioactive nuclide with a half-life of 1,600 years. Once inside the body, it is mistaken for calcium because the two elements are chemically very similar. And where does calcium go? Into the bones and teeth, of course. But instead of strengthening them, radium turns them into permanent sources of radiation. The skeleton itself becomes a tiny, unstoppable atomic reactor. As the women grew sick and began to die, the company denied all responsibility. Company-paid doctors diagnosed them with syphilis or hysteria, the classic female imagination. But 5 courageous women, later known as the Radium Girls, filed a lawsuit. The trial became a national sensation. Terminally ill women, some so weak they couldn't even raise their hands to take an oath in the dim courtroom, stood up against a powerful industrial giant. And they won. But at what cost? Most of the plaintiffs didn't live to see the end of the 1920s. Yet their victory sparked a revolution in workplace safety and led to the first regulations governing the handling of radioactive materials. The tragedy of the Radium Girls was the first documented mass case of radiation poisoning in history, though sadly, not the last.